On this edition of Kababayan Today, Fil-Am organization BAYAN USA celebrates 10 years. Get to know the amazing work they do for the community. That's all next on Kababayan Today.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Ako po si G. Tonji and welcome to Kababayan Today. Passion for country. Yan ang pag-uusapan natin ngayong araw. Kaya naman ipapakilala ko kayo sa isang organization na ginagawa nilang layunin to continue building and strengthening the national democratic movement to win genuine democracy and lasting change in the Philippines. BAYAN USA is the name of the organization. It's a national alliance of progressive Filipino groups in the U.S. representing organizations of youth, students, scholars, women, workers, and artists. Founded in 2005, so it's been 10 years, it's the oldest and largest overseas chapter of BAYAN Philippines. Kasama natin ang tatlong mga miyembro ng organization na BAYAN USA. Si Nicole Cababa nandito. Siya ay isang second-generation Filipino-American community leader mula sa Long Beach, California. She received her BA in International Development Studies from UCLA. Go Bruins! She currently serves as the Southern California Regional Coordinator of BAYAN USA. At kasama rin natin si Terry Cuervas. Siya naman ay isang National Officer of GABRIELA USA, a Filipino women's organization and member organization of BAYAN USA. Terry serves as the second regional coordinator of BAYAN USA in Southern California from 2006 and 2007. And lastly, kasama natin si Eric Tandok naman. Siya ay Secretary General of Anakbayan USA, a Filipino youth and student organization and member organization of BAYAN USA. He's currently a youth organizer in the Long Beach area and uses his expertise as a filmmaker and DJ to inspire youth to get involved in their Filipino-American community. We have all three of them here on Kababayan Today to share with all of you viewers their passion for our country. Maraming salamat, Nicole, Eric, Terry. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting us.
So, BAYAN USA, it's relatively a new organization, 10 years, but I'm just amazed at all the things that you guys are doing from what I've read up about you. It's very important to share with our kababayans all these organizations that we're trying to do and build to help our country of the Philippines. So, Nicole, tell me, how was BAYAN USA founded?
So BAYAN USA, like was mentioned earlier, was founded in 2005, and really it was a group of Filipino activists and Filipino community organizers that were really concerned about some of the root problems that they were seeing happening in the Philippines and felt directly connected to the growing national democratic movement there. And so actually BAYAN USA started because it's an overseas chapter of BAYAN Philippines. Mm-hmm. And so when it began in 2005, there were only 7 organizations that came together in San Francisco, but it was a very historic moment for us here in the United States, especially because there are so many Filipinos here in the U.S. that reside here, and currently there's about 4 million Filipinos living in the U.S. And so it made sense for us to really organize Filipinos and Filipino Americans around the issues that our kababayan are facing here, but also tying it directly to back home and the struggle for really genuine change in the Philippines.
Okay, so let me ask our other guests that are here, what brought you to be part of BAYAN USA? Terry?
Yeah, well, what brought me to be part of BAYAN USA is really BAYAN has a program that it puts forward for the rights and welfare of the people, and that's really what struck me and what I really believed in. That it really is fighting for national sovereignty of the Philippines. It wants national industrialization of the country, and it's fighting for the rights and welfare of the people. So I really felt like I could subscribe to that kind of program. And so after I had a long trip in the Philippines back in 2005, when I came back to Los Angeles, I decided to join Hobby Arts, which is one of the arts groups here and a member organization of BAYAN.
And how has going back to the Philippines really changed your perspective about what it means to be Filipino-American?
It was life-changing because when I got to go back to the Philippines, I could place my experience as a Filipino American and connect it back to the issues going on in the Philippines. I could see the poverty and exploitation happening in the country, but the part of Bayan is it has an analysis and it shows what are the root problems, you know, why are people being experiencing massive poverty and oppression. So I was able to connect my experience here to the root problems in the Philippines, you know, tied back to government corruption and not serving the interests of the people.
I see. So Eric, as a member of Anakbayan, I understand that Bayan USA is made up of several different organizations. What brought you to Bayan USA?
Well, for Anakbayan, we're the youth organization, one of the youth organizations in Bayan USA, and we're also an overseas chapter of Anakbayan in the Philippines. And for us here, for myself, I grew up here in the US, and I was actually born here. But it really wasn't until I started learning about what's happening in the Philippines and our history in the Philippines, and that I started understanding why our people are poor in the Philippines and why our families had to move across the world to this country just to survive and support our families back home. And it made me start understanding that, you know, there are really root problems in the country that need to be changed. And I think typically initial response for Filipino Americans going back to the Philippines is that when they go there, they see the poverty, they would think, oh, I'm so glad that I'm in the US, you know, that I don't have to endure that. But then having learned about our history and, you know, met the people who are suffering and lived with them in their houses in the shanty towns or in the rural areas, you really develop a sense of responsibility to do everything that we can to try to change the situation back home in the Philippines, and recognize that even though we are here and even though we grew up here, we are still Filipino, and that we have a role to play as well, even if we're thousands of miles away.
All right, well, I'm sure a lot of people want to understand how they can help. What can they do? Can they actually enforce change, even if they're here in America? When we return, kasama pa rin natin ang Bayan USA. We'll find out about their past events and how they've been able to make a difference. Magbabalik tayo, don't go away.